wrecking rivals, fighting on pit road, parking cars on the front stretch. NASCAR suspensions are wilder than ever. In this video, we will discuss craziest penalties to hit drivers lately. From Noah Gragson's social media story, to Chase Elliott seeing red, to Josh Williams' parking fail, we've got controversies galore. Subscribe to the channel, and let's start. Our first trip down suspension lane takes us to everyone's favorite wheelman, Noah Gragson. Now, Gragson's always been known to stir things up both on and off the track. But his 2023 season was an especially rough one, even by his standards. He just could not seem to finish races this year, causing him to plummet down the point standings despite driving for a top-tier team. But things really hit the fan back in early August, when NASCAR dropped the hammer and indefinitely suspended Gragson for liking a racial post on social media. I mean, yikes! We all know NASCAR has tried to clean up its image and distance itself from its checkered past on issues of race, but this incident definitely did not help. It sparked a fiery debate across the garage area and on social media about whether NASCAR overstepped and if this sets a troubling precedent when it comes to regulating driver speech and conduct off the track. Gragson didn't do himself any favors with his non-apology and refusal to delete the post initially too. But after completing some mandatory sensitivity counseling and training, NASCAR saw fit to reinstate him just a few weeks later. The suspension put a massive dent in his season and really inflamed those questioning NASCAR's standards. Our next wild suspension, none other than NASCAR's most popular driver himself, Chase Elliott. Now we all know the 2020 Cup Series champ has something of a temper on him, especially when he feels wronged on the track. But things reached a fever pitch during 2023 Coca-Cola 600. Chase was racing Denny Hamlin hard for position during the race when Hamlin sent him into the wall. But rather than take it in stride, Chase veered his mangled car directly into Hamlin's driver's side door in what looked about as intentional as it gets. I'm talking eyes closed, straight as an arrow, right into him. Both drivers were immediately done for the day, as you can imagine. And despite Chase's weak claims it was just a byproduct of his car being destroyed, NASCAR saw right through it. They slapped him with a one-race suspension, citing his obvious retaliation against Hamlin. This killed all the positive momentum Chase's team had built and really damaged his playoff hopes last season. I mean, he ended up missing a ton of races last year between this suspension and his injuries. Alright, how about we look at Bubba Wallace's suspension next? This one went down during last season's playoff opener. Bubba and Kyle Larson were scrapping hard for position when Larson gave Wallace the chrome horn into the wall. Well, instead of taking it in stride and trying to fight back on the track, Bubba spun Larson head-on into the wall as retaliation on the very next corner. Didn't even try to hide it. The hit took them both out, along with playoff hopeful Christopher Bell for good measure, but Bubba wasn't done. He marched right over to a wrecked Larson and started shoving him before officials broke it up. So NASCAR brought the hammer down with a one-race suspension for the on-track retaliation and post-race fight. Lots of fans actually applauded NASCAR for taking clear action against this blatant wrecking, instead of just giving the old boys an excuse. Alright, let's go back in time a bit to one of the most blatant acts of retaliation in NASCAR history, when Matt Kenseth flat-out dumped race leader Joey Logano at Martinsville back in 2015. Now this one goes back to Logano sending Kenseth spinning while they were fighting for a win at Kansas. Clearly Kenseth had revenge on his mind when he returned to the paperclip. After getting taken out in an early accident, Kenseth went to the garage for repairs before returning to the track multiple laps down just as Logano retained the lead. Kenseth plowed straight into Logano's driver door at full speed going into turn 1. No attempt to even act like it was an accident. The fans went crazy. While Kenseth definitely became a folk hero to some, NASCAR brought the banhammer down with a 2-race suspension. Ultimately, it killed Logano's best shot at a Title II as he got eliminated that round. Talk about holding a grudge. And finally, let's look at a slightly more comical suspension from earlier this year, when Josh Williams literally parked his car on Atlanta's front stretch after NASCAR told him he was done for the day. So, Williams had been involved in several accidents during the Xfinity race that required heavy duct tape repairs. But the repairs failed, bringing out yet another caution. NASCAR decided Williams's car was too much of a hazard and told him to take it behind the wall and call it a day. Well, the famously hot-headed Williams took that order quite literally. He bounced his battered ride off the wall right on the start-finish line and walked back to the garage in hilarious fashion. While it provided some amazing memes, NASCAR was not exactly thrilled. They suspended him one race for his refusal to bring his car down pit road. Williams accepted the penalty, admitting he clearly violated a direct order even though he was upset at the moment. And with that, we've wrapped up this dive into some of NASCAR's wildest driver suspensions. Love him or hate him, at least they keep things interesting during those long green flag runs. Let me know which incident had you most fired up in the comments. And make sure to like and subscribe to catch the latest NASCAR happenings and takes right here. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next video.